And then I guess I'll just start out by the introduction. So Betsy Williams is here. Betsy is the reason we're all here, because if it wasn't for Betsy and Joanna, there wouldn't be a Microseasons book, and we wouldn't have this project. And today, actually, we have a submission by Joanna, who wrote all of the haiku in the book. So that's going to be very cool. Welcome, Betsy, and thank you so much for letting us experiment with your child, your artistic child.
Thank you, Ferdi.
And then the only other guy you see on here is my friend Art Wolinsky. And just last week, I was in that room. That is the room in Art's house where I got to stay. And we did our walks around his pond are what generated the Microseasons pictures from last week, which was really wonderful. He has earned his book, so he has his copy of the book. We also had Diane had sent us some pictures from Reserve. And so we had some really great pictures over there. And Tanya sent us some pictures not only from Taos, but she also sent us pictures from Granada, Spain, from her friend who was there too. So that was all pretty cool. And I'm glad that you are all here. I'm going to start sharing my screen now. If I do this right, everything should work. And we're going to, of course, see some things we don't necessarily need to see right now. But I can fire up our session for today. And let me welcome everybody to Microseasons 17. And this is Frost Ends Rice Sprouts. At least that's how it was in Japan. And so today's plate is this one for Frost Ends Rice Sprouts. And the haiku, the cycle begins. Carpets of green for planting, rice bowl for my lunch. So as we say each time, this is a project that's online. It's a collaborative project with a new session every 5 days. We ask people to go outside, observe, and share their impressions, and then we give and receive feedback. And we began this in February. We're down to just about the end. This is the next to last one for spring that you see here. And our final one is going to be on Saturday. I'm hoping to make that kind of a party if we can do that. And our tradition has been to begin each of these with the recording that Joanna made explaining the Microseasons.
In the chaos and unpredictability of nature, the seasons and their qualities provide a little map to navigate each year. And so when I first came across the Japanese 72 microseasons, I was fascinated to learn more. There wasn't much information available in English, so it took a few years to gather and decode the full set. But then I began to use it as a starting point to learn more about Japan, and from there apply it to what was going on in my own local environment halfway around the world. The project with Betsy was a perfect step forward, exploring the markers through poetry and pottery, a connection we found despite living over 4,000 miles apart and having never met. We recorded the Japanese seasonal markers along with our own thoughts and visualization. The haiku prompts were transformed into a tiny plate every 5 days throughout 1 year. We have now turned our Instagram collaboration into a book.
And our collaboration continues. These are the images and words that I received as of today. So let's take a look and listen. That is what we have for today. I would love to hear any feedback from that.
I just feel so lucky to have gotten in on the tail end of this, and I'm going to start observing around the pond a lot more with the idea of maybe starting something like that to find out what our micro seasons are like here in New Hampshire. And because I just started looking at different things like the lily pads on the pond just below the surface right now, and they're red. So in a couple days, they'll get up to the surface and begin turning green. So that becomes the next micro season here, I guess.
See what you set in motion, Betsy?
Good.
It's just it's so fun.
That's the idea that I was thinking the other day. We go through years and then decades. And I feel like it's a shame I didn't start doing this when I was like 10 or something, but
Well, you're inspiring people who are 10 and younger than 10, like we saw with that family in Taos. You're creating a new wave of naturalists. And I think that is absolutely wonderful and inspiring. And I think this is not over. I mean, I committed to do 18 of these things in a row, and I did 18 of them in a row, and we may end up, I think it's inevitable that it will continue, but what I want to do is I want to try to train some young people so that they can do the next ones, and I can pay them to do the next ones, and we'll be broadening it out and building our capacity. And I think that's a cool thing as well. Diane, what do you think about all this?
I think it's wonderful, and it's part of my own self healing to join my spirit with Mother Nature. And so being able to share that with other people too is just so refreshing, and it brings me so much joy. And watching what other people are observing, as well as what I'm observing, is just a joyful time and a joyful thing. And I hope that our young people can learn that joy is an important part of life, and that our planet, of course, is an important part of our lives. Without our planet, we wouldn't be here, of course. I'm going to continue with observing and photographing. I'm not a great photographer, and I'm not a person who thinks about taking photos all the time, but I do paint. And I know that sometimes the photographs help me to come up with something to put on the canvas that is just, doesn't really come from me usually. It's just sort of channeled. And so that's what I want to do. I would love to continue this. And I'm hoping that the kids who get to see this understand that this is a project of love from us to them.
Oh my God, so wonderful. And, yesterday I got to go to the Hispanic Cultural Center down in Albuquerque, and I saw the final performance of Sacred Journeys 3 that Robert Mirabal did together with the ballet dancers that were there. It was this same message, and it's this message of healing that leads me to ask Tanya, will you reflect on how this healing and connection and cultural connection and ancient wisdom is playing out both in La Tormenta de Taos, but also all of the other work that you're doing with your colleagues in the fine arts education world. How do you see all of this coming together, and what role could Microseasons be playing in making that happen in more communities?
Well, I feel that, first of all, the book and and just seeing the pottery is such a reflection, and it's a reflection of who we are through the pottery and the words. And you know, I'm a big advocate for continuing language, tradition, and culture, especially when it comes to our kids orally not forgetting the stories. And whether it is through ballet, whether it is through a theater project or a song, it is so important that our kids don't forget their culture and their traditions. But I feel like this whole book and just even getting together with everybody gives me such a reflection of who we are individually. And you know, I don't want to advance into the book or get further, but I was kind of looking at the other pages before I started, and it just really brings a lot of grounding. There's so much with just a few words. So La Tormenta has turned out to be a tormenta, a storm, because there's just so many people now that are so excited about it, and it's really gaining a lot of momentum. So I'm very excited, and so are the kids. And more importantly, that's the only reason I'm doing this, is for the love of the kids. So I'm very happy and very pleased that I have met all of you through Zoom, and how we all come back from different backgrounds, and how we all have something to share, whether it's a photo through our words. But it's really great collectively to be working with all of you, and it's I'm very grateful, and I just thank you for the opportunity.
Well, I don't have much more to add to that. The only thing that I will say is that for those of you, us in New Mexico, Art doesn't get to do this. He'll have to watch it on video somehow. But May 14th, Saturday, May 14th is when La Tormenta is happening up in Taos. There are 2 performances, one in the morning, I believe at 11, and one later at 1. And we're actually going to try to invite the governor and see if we can get the governor up here to do it, because what has floored me about this thing, the first inkling I got was, well, this is about not just the storm, this was about COVID as the storm. And it was about a journey that this young person takes to receive the wisdom from other animals in nature, but it's intergenerational because the parents and the grandparents are involved too. But then as I went to this other rehearsal where I got to see for the first time the entire performance, it's about 15 minutes, I got to see it run through twice. The words hit me even deeper, that before we even talk about the journey, that COVID itself may have had a purpose, and it may have been a slap upside our head. Listen, y'all are out of balance. You all are out of connection. You're out of kilter. And if you don't do something, you think this was bad, wait till you see what comes next. You all better wake up, and you better realize that we are this interdependent web of existence. And let's draw upon all of the resources that we have, which are intergenerational, which are intercultural. The power of the message of this is so needed right now that I'm going to go right back at you, Tanya. If you had not welcomed me into what you're doing, I would not know that this was going on. And we wouldn't have thought about using the technology to help the kids practice by giving them videos for the kids who don't even have internet. I mean, there's just something right now that's calling all of us to bring everything that we've got to bear in assisting each other. And it all started from these tiny plates, Betsy. All of this stuff started from the tiny plates and from the relationship that you and Joanna, people who had never seen each other, never heard each other, were doing. There's just so much good going on here right now that I think we can all feel very blessed to have encountered it. And so I'm very grateful too. And I don't think I'm going to stop after Microseason 18, but I'll have to figure out something to do with it. But I think we've got something in motion here. It is the easiest way for people to put their toe in the water of project-based learning and experiential learning. And every 5 days, you get a chance of rebirth. You get to be reborn every 5 days into this thing. So anyway, I'm sincerely grateful. Thank you for joining us today, Betsy. It's always great when we have the author here.
Thank you.
And,
It's my pleasure.
And then my colleagues here, we're becoming a family, and we are finding ways to take things we enjoy doing and combining it together for the benefit of all beings. So I'm very grateful. I don't have anything else to add unless you all do, other than to say thanks.
I'm good. There's not much else I could say, that's for sure.
And I'd
All
like
right.
to say a big thank you to all of you.
Well, that I
Yeah.
could have said. Thank you.
And Ferdi, I know that, you know, a lot of this is on your part as well, that you've, you know, really encouraged and lifted up so many people. And these are your efforts as well. So I really want to thank you for creating this tormenta, this storm.
Well, I look forward to seeing you on Wednesday. I had to choose between going tomorrow or going Wednesday, and the practical thing would have said go tomorrow because the kids are rehearsing and they've got to get these units out. But on Wednesday, they're actually going to the home of the young lady who plays the little rabbit,
Yeah.
who is the star of the show. But
Yeah.
her parents are there and her grandparents are there, and they're all getting interviewed. So I didn't want to miss that. I said, that's the day I've got to go. So I'll be seeing you on Wednesday, Tanya. We'll figure out the schedule of the whole thing. But
Okay, and then Teresita called, and they Cosecha, which is the bilingual conference, would like to also, there's a part in there about exactly what we're doing. So Teresita needed to talk to you about that.
oh, good. Okay, so we'll do that. Well,
Yes.
thanks again. And y'all be well. And hope we can see you on Saturday, the 30th, when we'll really celebrate the fact that we made it through one entire season, and where are we going to take that to? So again, be well, everybody, and thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.